Good evening and welcome to CellarPass TV. It's Thursday, April 29th, and this is the season finale as we get ready to rock into summer. We are so excited. We have Cole Sisson from Doe Bay Wine Company and the Orcas Project back again, and he's going to be telling us all about 3 amazing wines he wants to share with us, some of his exploits over the winter and new projects that are coming online, as well as the best places to stay, eat, and drink when you're up in the San Juan Islands. So let's welcome Cole, the adventurer among all adventurers. Welcome, Cole.
Hey, it's great to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
Man, it's so nice to be back.
Yeah, we're super excited. You can see we spiffed up the show since you were here last.
not the participant, as you can see.
This is excellent. So what's going on up on Orcas Island?
Oh man, everybody is just getting ready for the season. You know, I mean, normally this time of year we're all kind of just running around trying to make sure everything is in place, right? It's kind of like those where, I mean, even in the green room here, you're all ready to go because then you're on stage. And here on the island, it's the same way. Everybody has to kind of be in their position, everything in place, because once visitors start to arrive, it's challenging to really change course. And so this time of year, everybody's kind of a lot of paint, a lot of, manicuring, a lot of like just getting things ready, making things look pretty, finalizing menus, all of these different things. So that's where we're at right now. It looks like Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn outside painting fences, right? Hey, help me out. Hey, come here.
Yeah, come over for a glass of wine. Here's a paintbrush. Can you drink and paint at the same time? Perfect. Oh, that's awesome. Well, I mean, it's a stunning place to visit. The charm of the island is it's delightful, but it is surrounded by salt water and exposed to the elements. So I can only imagine that there is a lot of annual maintenance, just, again, kind of spiffing things up, getting, the paint looking not so ratty and chasing the bunnies out of the garden and all of those things. And people think I'm probably joking. They haven't been to Orcas Island. The place is littered with bunnies. They're everywhere.
Mr. McGregor. I have a field day here. No, it's true. It's true. I mean, we have that strange pattern traditionally where there's these 8 months, 9 months of just kind of lulling you into this fall sense and then ramping up like that. So yeah, vermin, fences, that's where we're at. Stage 1.
That's awesome. Well, I know that we in the Pacific Northwest have been teased with some of the most beautiful weeks the last couple of weeks. The weather has been amazing. Definitely a promise of things to come. And that we are kicking off into, where we're starting to plan for our summer adventures. So getting up into the San Juans, I know, is a bucket list for a lot of people. It's easy to get to. We'll be definitely talking about that a little bit later, but it's not a very long drive, like 90 minutes from Seattle. You take a ferry, you're on the islands, or my favorite, taking a seaplane out of Seattle and splashing down. That is the fastest and bestest way to get there. Unless you have your own private yacht, then do that. But
your own private yacht. I mean, it's hard to beat Kenmore coming off of South Lake Union, dropping off your car, taking Uber down there, whatever you need to do, hop in, and that view, that aerial.
Oh my gosh.
View,
truly stunning.
A bucket list experience, but that's like the cherry on top, right? I mean, the idea of flying over, it's stunning, and it's so fast.
Yeah. Fast, and it's the iconic seaplanes. You got the big pontoons, and you're going to splash in. From what I haven't done it myself, and I'm dying to, but they have a 3.5-hour tour. So if you only have a day, you can fly up. They'll take you on a whale watching excursion out of Friday Harbor.
Really?
But yeah, so it's like this kind of just. Yeah. And then if you're really smart, you'll stay overnight and then they'll just pick you up the next day. Done and done. Done. Well, we also have Chris Sawyer joining us, which we should bring in right now because we are about ready to get into the Grenache Blanc. Cheers, guys.
What's up, Chris?
Cheers. How you doing, Cole? Good to see you.
What's going on, man?
I'm the Chris Sawyer of the Tom Sawyer family. Yeah. No, I know that very well from living in Astoria, Oregon, in the saltwater, man. Some funny cars there. You leave it out too much in the atmosphere. Oh man, bad rust jobs there.
Come back to a pile of dust and a steering wheel. I swear I parked my car here. Where'd it go?
Man.
Oh my gosh. All right. So we are jumping in to our first wine, the Grenache Blanc from the Orcas Project. And I mean, it smells beautiful. You want to tell us a little bit about this?
Cool. No, I just want to admire the screen. I'm mesmerized.
Well, we try.
Cool. Yeah, let's talk about this. That's awesome.
Mhm.
First wine tonight is our Grenache Blanc. So Orcas Project Grenache Blanc. Quick refresher on the Orcas Project. This is our house label. This is a wine project that we put together here on Orcas Island. So basically there's 10 different winemakers we work with. Each of the different labels represents a different winemaker. So it's kind of fun. This was designed by an artist named Jake Kavika McGuire. So this is one of our most delicious friends, a little Grenache Blanc.
And a little crabby.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about we pair this at Buck Bay Shellfish Farm all summer long, just because it's such a great pairing with seafood. And what it is, it's 97% Grenache Blanc and then 3% Roussanne. So it's kind of a southern French style blend made by winemaker Morgan Lee. And Morgan is also the owner and winemaker at Two Vintners, which is a little winery down here in Woodinville. And Morgan does this blend for us, and it's mostly Boucher Vineyard, which Chris, I know we've talked about before.
Oh yeah,
I know, Sarah, you know it as well. Mm-hmm. But this is mostly Boucher and as well as Weatherai and Olson Vineyards. And
wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? It's one of my favorite summer wines.
I've been sipping this since before the show started. I mean, it's so good, so floral too. I mean, that's where it starts. Is right in the nose. I mean,
and you get that the sense of peach, you're walking through a peach orchard.
Exactly. Yeah, but also the white flowers. The white flowers as you're walking up to the peach orchard, which is cooler, And the peaches are white peaches. They're not, orange peaches. They're white. And so you just get it right there. It's very aromatic. It's very inviting. And man, it's got some texture.
Absolutely. And it's so fitting when we're talking about Orcas Island, and the San Juan Islands they're a stunning beauty that you have to visit at least once in your lifetime. It's hard to describe, but when you see it, you will realize that there's not really anything else in the world that compares. But there's such a great farming culture up in the islands as well. And so when you talk about the orchards and, the smell of the peaches, it just kind of reminds me, it's you're walking through, an orchard on Orcas Island, and you're just kind of capturing the sunlight right here in your glass.
Yeah, it reminds me too of being in Napa Valley, and I don't live in Napa Valley, but I go there often. You're
Napa adjacent.
Yes, but it's on Deer Park and Silverado Trail. There's an old family that brings their peaches out there, and they sell them there. And it just reminds me of that, when they're kind of juicy, and you don't care if it's going to drip all over you. It doesn't matter because they're that good. And that's what I get out of this glass.
Absolutely. When they're just at that ripeness and you're running into the house and mom's like, nope, out on the porch with those. Those are outdoor fruit.
Is we were at, do you guys know Girl Meets Dirt? Are you familiar with the Girl Meets Dirt label?
I am.
Okay,
beautiful preserves.
Audra Lawler, she makes these incredible, she has this team and does these really beautiful preserves and cuttings and shrubs, all of these out of local island fruit. And so we were stopped by yesterday to take a little tour of her facility, which I highly recommend for anyone visiting Orcas, going to check out their production and tasting room. But they were breaking down peaches and rhubarb, all of these. It's this most amazing local fruit. It's stunning. So talk about the blossoms and the peaches and all these notes. I mean, people don't realize how famous Orcas was in the past as the fruit basket of Washington State, right? Before the irrigation. It's wild.
Oh, that is so cool. There's so much history that I have learned about in Washington State that I had no idea, truly no idea, especially when Bainbridge Island, where I live, the strawberry farming pre World War II was one of the strawberry meccas. And Bainbridge Island was the home to one of the busiest ports on the West Coast, all the way up, I think, till just probably before the war, but milling, everything. This was the happening little spot. And then we invented pickleball. So, that happened.
Really?
Yeah, really.
It was invented there?
Yeah, on Bainbridge Island, pickleball. This is the home of Bainbridge or pickleball.
Oh my God, I'll be more remembered for that for the rest of our lives.
I know, right? One of our friends, the home that they own, has the original pickleball court where it actually happened.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Field trip. Next time we go, we got to go up there and visit. Have like
yeah, we're gonna do like a pickleball convention here or something. It's gonna be great.
There we go.
It's fantastic. Well, this wine is absolutely no joke, and this is absolutely beautiful. This is a perfect summer wine. Light, floral, fresh. Something that's going to pair well, I would imagine, with just about anything. I mean, this is pretty spectacular, and I love the label. I love the colors, the fun, and the vibrancy that is all in the bottle. So it's just cool. So well done on that. Definitely excited to learn more about the winemaker and why you guys chose a crab for him.
We were kind of playing around a little bit, and in this instance, Morgan's, I wouldn't say he's a crabby kind of guy, but he's got a lot of edges. Let's put it that way. No, we just thought it was a really fun pairing, especially since we had this Grenache Blanc and a little bit of Roussanne. We thought it was just go really well as kind of the foray. I think we're going to try to do a Syrah or a different red wine with him in the future. We'll be a little bit of the crab on it, but just out of the pairing perspective, Chris, I say Dungeness crab because it's there, it's easy. Yeah. What do you think when you taste this wine? Anything else jump out of the food?
It's funny you asked that, because today I had two things that I thought right away about this, because we had another Ribolla Giola of all things today from Matheson. But I would pair the same thing with that, which is this wine, with green garlic soup. Green garlic soup was amazing because it's very seasonal. You don't get it that often. And also the asparagus dish was really great with a little bit of a fine burrata with it. And I feel like those things this can take it because it's got acid. It's got really nice. It's juicy, but everything's made in a different way today, especially, freshness. Freshness is so important today. It's not about a bunch of oak and everything like we had in the old days. And I think we all grew up because of that. And I feel like those are two things right off the bat that we tasted today that I'd be like, oh, I would love to have had this bottle with me earlier today.
Sounds good.
It does. Oh my gosh. And then as you're saying, taking this down to Buck Bay, fresh oysters, spot prawns, oh
man,
my gosh.
I mean, talk about this field day, off we go on a little picnic excursion, but you go down there with a bottle of something like this, and it's just a feast of
two bottles.
A movable feast, like half a case. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Run it over.
How does Uber work on Orcas?
Very, very slowly. Let me tell you, it's like a mule in a little cart. It's like ha. But yeah, you're right.
It's not a huge island, but it would definitely be a jaunt to get back over to East Sound.
Oh man, we used to walk when I was a kid. We'd go all the way from some nights couldn't get home. Right, we were younger. We're out there, and if hardly anybody lived out past the park. So routinely, if friends would drop us off after maybe a little get together of some kind, and you'd be like, all right, here we go, because you knew there was 3 miles or 6 miles you had to walk home, and it was like nothing else you could. Just go for it.
Sounds like a tough upbringing and totally awesome because those are the stories and lifestyle and upbringing that adventures are made of. And that probably make you such a fun person. So cheers to that. It's pretty cool. And you find water, you turn around and you walk back the other direction. You're not really going to go anywhere.
No, I had the same thing in Astoria when I lived there, my freshman and sophomore years of high school. We did the same exact thing. Who's got a ride home? No one. Let's walk.
No.
When we show up, we show up. There's no cell phones. What's that all about?
No, we did that up in Lake County in California too. It was very, very country and pastoral. So you're out there, either riding horses or walking for miles. And you know what? We all turned out okay. Yeah, we're we're here. We
The
usually
kids
can
are
find our
okay.
way. The kids are okay. We survived.
They're all right. Yeah.
Cole, tell us a little bit about your winter. You were working on a new project with mezcal. How was that?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, Chris, I love it, man. We'll come down and have a little fun. I've been working on this project for like 10 years. I just hadn't actually, it was always a passion, kind of an idea, right? I started going down to Oaxaca back in 2011. The first time I was down there, I met up with Ron Cooper from Del Maguey and went around. I remember, he was working on a private Iberian, Iberico Pachuga for the Jose Andres crew. And so he was out there. It was how long was that? 10 years ago, 11 years ago. So 29, 30 years old. And I was just in love with Oaxaca. I liked mezcal when I went down there. I loved mezcal when I returned. And I've been going down there ever since, oftentimes twice a year. And so I've managed to establish some really cool relationships. I have a really cool Spanish teacher. I have some good friends down there. I go to Mexico City. I go to Oaxaca City. I go to the coast. And Oaxaca is such an incredible province. It's so diverse and so stunning culturally, but also visually. So I went down there and I was just kind of hiding out, it was a challenging time to travel with everything that was going on. But to be honest, I got Airbnbs in like quiet, secluded areas, and it seemed quite safe. And I ended up just kind of posting up and reading a ton, but also decided I would move forward with the mezcal project. So I hired my Spanish teacher as my consultant on the ground, and I ended up taking several forays out to villages to meet with producers, and ended up finding an attorney and getting a business license and all of that stuff. So kind of moving through the stage that I thought would be later in life. I was thinking I would live in Oaxaca part-time in the future, but it actually happened sooner than I expected. So everything is in place now, and it's so cool. It's so cool to rent a car and drive down the roads, like out into the country. There's horses and goats, and people don't have electricity. They speak Zapotec. It's like, so mind-blowing. It's so intense. And I've started making friends, and it's kind of like this cool thing where it's coming together. So maybe next year, if importing goes okay and we're able to figure it all out, we could have mezcal up there.
Yeah, I love mezcal.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, there's a big difference between tequila and mezcal. Why don't you tell everyone what you do, what your technique is, Cole?
So it depends on the producers, and one of the biggest things with mezcal is there are a variety of species used to make tequila. Mezcal is a type of, or tequila is a type of mezcal, but basically there are a lot of different species used to make mezcal. That's important to think about. In tequila production, there's only one. It's the blue agave.
Right.
So tequila, mezcal. Yes, it's made out of the agave plant, this big kind of almost like a succulent kind of cactus looking, huge, the spikes. You guys know them. So with mezcal, you have all these diverse types of agave. Some take 30, 35 years to mature. They're very almost terroir specific. They taste differently depending on where they're grown. And so it's a much more, the spectrum is much wider. You get all of these different flavors and tastes. There's far less oak aging. A lot of them are kind of blanco or pure style. And so you can taste the differences. Usually they bury them in a pit, this big pit, and you have this kind of smoky influence because they'll put hot rocks or they'll bake them in these basically ovens underground. It's a much more rustic style of production, a much smaller scale than most tequila. And so it's this really kind of, I say ancestral method, but like this, you go out to the hills and it's very much a farming old community of people who've been doing this for generations. It's about as artisanal a substance, a beverage, as anything I've ever encountered by far in my life. And it's just, there's a lot of passion. It plays a large part in the culture of Oaxaca and the other 8 states, I believe, that can produce mezcal in the southern portion of Mexico. It's just, it's so intertwined with everything. It's very spiritual. It's really incredible. We work with a young lady who's 28 years old. Her name is Rosario Angeles, and she is the only female mezcalera in the village of Santa Catarina Minas, which is a very famous mezcal producing village. She was in California for a little while, but she's from that village, came back, learned how to make mezcal in a very male dominated industry, old male dominated industry. She
That
is
has
a
to be tough.
young, intense woman. She's making incredible mezcals, and she's doing it the way that their grandparents did. So
Oh.
it's magical. You guys have to come visit. I'm trying to find a place down there. You guys come down with us.
Yeah, count
sold.
me in.
Sold.
I love it. I love it, and it is the smokiness to it that really is the charmer for me. You know, it gives so much more depth than regular tequila. I mean, I love reposados if they're very good. You know, I mean, I love blancos and everything, but just mezcal as it is a different world for me, and I do feel that spiritual connection to it. I think that's the difference there. Is I feel like it's almost more handmade than mass made. You
Well, it
know?
sounds like there's definitely a connection to earth, to the people, to the whole production. You know, you're putting it into a pit, you're covering it in coals. It's there's definitely some alchemy, you know, going on there that is, you know, beyond what we've grown up with wine. I mean, that's hands-on, very special, but this sounds like it's a whole nother realm.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, because one of the things that struck me when I was visiting for the first time was I watched an older man come into a mezcal bar, and the person there, the bartender, the person in charge, blind tasted this guy on all of these mezcal, and he was saying, "Oh, this can't be from this. Has to be a village. This is Tepestate. This is Espadin." And I watched with like fascination as a sommelier, because this guy was blind tasting mezcal, and it was like, wow, really? And then it was like all of the, because they're so terroir driven, they grow at different altitudes, different villages, different soils. They all taste different. People who understand the industry can do that. And I was sitting there, I was like, the similarities to wine were phenomenal. And it was so cool to watch these guys go, "No, I think this is the mezcalero from so-and-so. This can't possibly be, you know, Madrequiche. No." And it's like, wow.
How cool is that? Oh my gosh. Like
Yeah.
goosebumps thinking about it. That is very, very cool. So you wintered in Oaxaca.
That's so fancy. Hold on. I gotta be careful with that term. I wintered in Oaxaca. I'm gonna summer on Marcus and winter in Oaxaca. I'm not sure the people are ready for that.
It sounds good though. Definitely sounds good. Let's talk about this beauty right here, the Marsanne.
Cool. All right. So first wine that we've made with a young winemaker named Riley Miller. All right. So this is a skin contact Marsanne. And Marsanne is a grape we'd normally find in the southern regions of France, usually down in like the southern Rhone Valley or northern Rhone, the Rhone Valley in general. We're talking down near Provence, geographically speaking. But it's usually blended with other grapes. Marsanne, maybe Roussanne, Viognier. If you're thinking of a Côte de Rhône Blanc or a Châteauneuf de Pop Blanc or one of the white blends in the south of France, Marsanne's a grape that you'll find down there often. It's a grape that by itself tends to be a little bit riper. It doesn't have a really high level of acidity. So it's kind of usually a little bit, I say, plumper or a little fatter, a little more texture. It's a really interesting grape. So Riley took this, and we call it skin contact or orange wine, as they're sometimes known. This wine was aged on its skins or fermented on its skins. It left this sit on the skins, macerating, right? For almost 2 months. I think it was like 56 days.
Oh, wow.
And so what you have here is a non-fine, non-filtered.
It's a little cloudy. Yeah.
It's a little cloudy, kind of fits in that vein of minimal intervention winemaking, where very little is done to the wine. It's kind of a natural style of making wine.
Kind of reminds me of an apple cider.
There's got a little bit, I could see that for sure, a little acetic acid, a little bit of that kind of cloudy, unfiltered, almost doesn't strike you as what a Marsanne would normally taste like, right?
Right, definitely different.
In general.
Yeah, but you know, the thing is that Marsanne and Roussanne in particular have a real interesting quality of being almost copper color if you let them go enough. And that's why, I mean, this color here is very distinctive. I mean, that's not white, you guys.
No,
this has got a copper tint to it, and that's exactly what the skin looks like, especially if it's done in the right kind of vineyards. I mean, that's the difference, is there's vineyards that can make it completely white, but if you find the right one, take advantage of that and use the skin to your advantage.
And This particular grape, I've done a little research over my years. This one is very vigorous and likes to struggle, from what I understand. So if you got like a rocky hillside, dry climate, it's like in its happy zone.
Yeah, this is, I'm not sure. I haven't really worked with much Marsanne, but that's a really interesting comment to bring up, because this is actually also from Boucher Vineyard. And yeah, it's definitely something that, again, it's really interesting. This is a style of wine that is become so popular with kind of, I say, a younger generation. It's interesting because there's a style of that skin contact orange, kind of funky. Chris, you mentioned Mathiasen earlier, right? They do a lot of, Marcassin, Mathiasen, a lot of stuff like that, right? So it's interesting to kind of see how generationally this is something that is much more experimental to the old school sommelier, right? I mean, this is different.
Yeah. Well, I like where we've evolved. I think that how I kind of came in contact with this was at Tobless Creek Winery. And, it was really one time when Jason Haas said, Chris, pull on over, because I've got all this open Roussanne. And I did. And there it is. It's sitting there, and he's got vintage after vintage. And there's different colors of orange, because it just has that kind of, that kind of skin. And you'll find it a little bit with Pinot Gris, not too much. But Pinot, Roussanne and Marsanne are two of the exemplary examples of what you can have as far as using the skins to actually color it a little bit different. And this has become very normal now. I mean, you could put this in oak. I mean, but what's the point? I mean, does this wine really want oak? I don't think so. I mean, I like it the way it is. No. And I like the color. It's very attractive. It's very different. And I feel like this is something that we're kind of getting into now. And I think that's a really great comment, Cole, too. It's just about sommeliers. I mean, it's like, yeah, I mean, if you're old school, you've probably never seen anything like this, but get used to it.
Things are changing, as they say. And I think it's cool. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, it's got so much structure and substance. I think that's what's little different. It's maybe it's the unfiltered, maybe it's that little untouchedness to it that gives it that gives it interest. It's like this is something to talk about. This is something to savor and slow down and just kind of check it out. This is not your porch pounder.
It's got a little bit of tension to it too, just because of that skin contact, and that's what I really like. And I think I'll even make a bigger, broader statement here, and that is, everyone out there that thought that pink wines are always sweet. Okay, I understand that if you're a little bit older class and you drank a lot of, these kinds of brands that were out there that were super sweet, especially White Zinfandel. But the kids today, they don't know anything about that. No. It passed them. And they start drinking the rosés today. They're all, this is really good. And this is exactly what this is too. This is the new generation stuff. And so it's very interesting how this has progressed. And I think that the Rhone style wines, not only here in California, but Washington especially, is the other great area of America. I think I'd put Virginia in there too, as being the areas where really there's a focus on making these wines that are very similar to, the Rhone Valley in France, but also what can we do here that's very different? I think this is a great example of that.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Chris, what would you pair with this?
Wow. I think that the cheese thing right off the bat, I mean, there's some goat cheese kinds of things that I would want, but I would want some, definitely some mandarin skin. I would want some mandarin peel, or at least that if you're going to do a salad for me, I want some citrus, but I probably want orange citrus. Okay. I don't want grapefruit. I want more. Let's go into the orange thing. I think that the same thing with Mexican food. And I bet you, Cole, you probably had some pretty good dishes down there that you could probably say this would be really good with this Marsanne. So I think that this is kind of where we're going, is like, you can go with some spicy foods. You can go with some things like that. Fish, I think, just is your starting point. But, yellowfin tuna would be really kind of where I'd be going there. But definitely, I think that the citrus factor here, because it's got it right there, especially on that finish, is very citrusy. And so I think about a lot of things, a lot of chicken dishes, and especially chicken skewers right now with an aioli. But once again, put some orange juice in there.
Yeah,
Or
maybe
something there.
little blood orange aioli or something
Yeah.
would be really fun. And
I hear you.
Yeah.
thinking
So
even
cool.
a ceviche, like a scallop ceviche, or you know,
Good
just get that citrus note. Absolutely.
There's the citrus in the seafood that Chris is alluding to too, right? Kind of the seafood starting point with that citrus component. And I think that the versatility of this wine, I mean, we're sitting here going the whole gambit. I was thinking like, I mean, you can do tacos with this. You could do El Pastor with a pineapple.
That's like
that.
You in Mexico with this wine. If you would have taken a case of this as an experimental journey and just see what you've done with the most genius thing ever.
Well, I'm only trying to juggle 4 businesses now, and let me try to figure this out, Chris. So, like the reverse osmosis here, right? We're just gonna bring the mezcal out and bring the Marsanne in.
One in, one out.
I think you
It's
could
the
have
same
bribed
bottle. It's a screw
people.
cap, so you can pull this off.
You could have bribed some people in Mexico with this wine. I mean, just give them some of this. They're all like, "Oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever I've had with tacos." And then you get some extra sources of fruit for your
Let me tell you, bribes are alive and well in most countries outside the United States. Let me tell you some tales.
And speaking of the label, octopus tacos.
Oh
would
yeah,
actually be pretty rocket.
Yeah, I think it, and you make a really good Albarino too, Cole. Like once again, we were talking about Albarino earlier, and your Albarino is so good that I think this is really kind of fitting into that same category. And Albarino to me reminds me so much of my first time to the Rías Baixas, which is in Spain, where I did nothing but eat seafood for basically a whole week. And like razor clams and octopus and whatever you bring it on. I was just so ready for more. And I could still taste the bites that I had. And this was like 12 years ago that I went to Rías Baixas, and I can still taste those bites. So I think there's something about this wine that has a very special kind of memory that it implants in you because you haven't tasted anything like this, and especially with food.
No, it's special. And yes, Cole's Albarino from the Orcas Project is off the charts. Says he knows. I'm always like, when you get more, when you get more.
I heard you earlier.
98 cases. It's like we have so little this year. It was a tough year for the vineyard, for the fruit. You know, the yields were really low. But to speak to your point about the food pairing, when we put projects together, because we're able to do this a year, 2 years out, but say, hey, we want this style, and can we do this with you? I mean, you have to think about our summers are built on seafood and citrus and pairing. And so when we're looking at wines, we have an Albarino, a Grenache Blanc, a Marsanne, all these, a Chenin Blanc, all these fresh, interesting grapes that pair really well with food, because at the end of the day, we don't do a lot of big red wines, mostly because, to be honest, we're so quiet most of the year. And in July, people are gravitating towards rosé and light white. So
summertime wine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's true. Boat wine. You're on. You're hanging out. You're in your cutoffs and your flip flops and just chilling, and it's something very special. And maybe last year, if you were around for the show, I didn't know Cole or anything about Doe Bay, but I did know about the Orcas Project Albarino, which I found at Buck Bay, and I was like, love the label. Just first you got me with the sketch of the little raccoon, and then I'm like, well, I'll take that. And then, of course, being a professional, I said, I'll take 3 because, it's a long walk.
Corner of the market.
But sold it out there at Buck Bay. But the first experience was that, and a big old bag of spot prawns that, we just, devoured on the back of the boat. And nothing fancy, totally messy, ripping off shrimp heads, throwing those back in the water, and, sipping on wine. But it has become a family tradition now. So when we go up to Orcas, it's like, we're going over to Buck Bay, we're getting the wine, we're getting the prawns, and the rest of the day doesn't even matter. It's like, that's the mission. And
I got to come up and visit both of you.
We got to film live.
The whole thing. Yeah.
We got to film live from Orcas. We got to have like
we
a
need
live.
to.
Yeah,
well, we've
I
talked
know.
about taking the show on the road, which I think we're going to eventually have to do now that things are
Yeah.
starting to lighten up. And I think, we can definitely do it. I would love to go actually show people these amazing finds and discoveries that, we've all found over the years, because they
Yeah.
are so special. And, but speaking of coming up to Orcas, where are some of the best places to stay if you're going to visit?
Oh my, let me tell you. So a couple of, there's a kind of been a resurgence of little, like, not bed and breakfast per se, but inns.
Okay.
There's a couple of really cool little inns that are attached to restaurants here that jump to my mind first. One is the Kingfish, and the Kingfish is right in West Sound, and it was kind of been revitalized over the last couple of years by Raymond and Holly, and really, really fantastic couple. And Raymond is an incredible chef. They have 4 rooms there right in West Sound. It's a beautiful view. The restaurant is downstairs. It's one of the best restaurants in the San Juan Islands. They were just written up in Forbes.
No way.
Leslie Kelly wrote a really great piece about them maybe 2 weeks ago. And Kingfish Inn. So that strikes me as just kind of like the location. The space was closed for many years. There was nothing there. And now over the last couple, they use all the local farmers. It's really cool. So that comes to mind as like kind of a new and fresh on the scene. Another similar concept is over at Ship Bay. And at Ship Bay, which many people have visited, it's an incredible restaurant. Geddes Martin is the head chef. He's been there forever. It's a really, really cool place. And they have a number of spots as well. So they have 4, 5, maybe more, 6 connected right there, outbuildings. But it's very close to Easttown, located right like a pastoral setting, one of the oldest orchards right there in front.
Wonderful.
And then you can walk over to Ship Bay and have a glass of wine outside. The view is stunning. You can sit there and have an appetizer. So I think for like the world of uncertainty that still kind of exists, I would love to stay somewhere where I could walk to an amazing restaurant. And
Absolutely.
so those 2 come to mind right off the bat as like, that's kind of what direction I would go.
Absolutely. And there's so many cool things. I mean, it's, being outdoors, walking, exploring, kayaking is really kind of the theme of the San Juans. It's about being out in nature and checking things out. There's also some really great glamping options if you're into that. So I was kind of looking online. I was like, that is kind of groovy. So you don't have to pack. It's all set up. You got a bed. You're in a tent of sorts. But really cool, different avant-garde kind of concepts. But at the end of the day, it's all about the beauty and the surroundings. But if you can walk to any of the restaurants, which are aplenty, I highly recommend it. And it's really a great thing in this current, kind of almost end of COVID era, where, you still have to kind of, things are still a little different, right? We get it. But we want to get out. We want to go do things. And that's a perfect way to do it. And the San Juan Islands provide so much outdoor time. The weather starts getting better and better. And by the summers, I mean, I don't think people realize how long our summers are, like every day. Like it starts getting dark like at 10, 11 o'clock at night. So you got plenty of time to be out and about and pace yourself, have lots of mini meals, get a little bite over here, stroll around, go check things out. But
I think that's a really great point because, I think that last year, we all became chefs because we had no choices. B, we started drinking wines that we never had really explored in detail because we've never had the chance. And C, we had the chance to appreciate the outdoors. And I think this is something that's really important. And I think that a lot of people you found a lot of people renting cars to drive long distances because they were scheduled to go to, Bowie, and then
right.
to all these places like that are so interesting around the world, but they weren't going to go there. No.
No.
So what are you going to do with your time? Is going to appreciate what we have in America. And I feel like
we have a bounty.
I think one of the hidden treasures of America is the upper part of Washington State, and that's what we're talking about here. There's, so much stuff. I love where I live here in Sonoma County, and we got
beautiful too. I mean, it's just
Napa Valley. I was just there this afternoon. Pretty good,
Does not suck.
stuff here, but do I want to come up and visit you guys? yeah,
Yeah.
because that's the appreciation of the world in general. And I feel like especially when you have great wines like this to offer, there's even more of a invite. Like I saw that thing that Linda just posted. Like she really likes what you have to say, Cole, and I think that's the great thing is that there's a lot of people out there that really love what you're doing up there, and you're giving them an extra advantage just by selling these great wines, bringing these great wines in, and creating these great wines.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Chris.
It's now time to rate that wine.
All right, you heard it here.
Wow.
You didn't see that one before, did you, Cole?
Wow. I feel like I'm in like a Blade Runner or something.
All right, so here we are. Let's rate this wine. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 10 just because it's unique. It's different. And I don't give 10s at all. Chris can attest to this. I've been hesitant all season to be like, I don't know.
Yeah, I heard you give it 10. No.
I haven't given it a 10. This, because it's got so much, it's fresh. It's got great balance. And it's just so dang unique. And so that is what gets a 10.
I'm going to give it a 9.8. Exactly the same reason. But, it's such a geek wine. And it will get you to geek status if you really love it.
Give me a little geek badge.
So good for geeks. And geeks will love this. And I love it already. And I am a geek. I understand.
You are a geek. I'll give you that. Sarah's a geek in hiding. She holds it in well. You wouldn't even know.
Geek in training.
Yeah. No, you got a little geek in you. I know that.
And that was the quote of the week.
Okay.
What is going on?
Yes, we've got
Cole,
this.
this is killing you. I know you've been away for a long time. We got really modern on you.
Things have changed.
I love it.
Oh my gosh. The more time you have to
was
work
the quote of the week though? Sarah's got a little geek in her?
Or was a little geek in her.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm pretty tall.
John's like, I'm pretty tall. I got this. Oh my gosh. So yeah, Cole's got the best stories. Jonathan and I were talking earlier, and John says Cole is his spirit animal. And he's got something to teach all of us. There's so much cool. But you were saying, like we were talking about, you're focusing on, the summer wines, things you're going to enjoy on the boat, the beach, the summer foods. But in the Pacific Northwest, we also have beautiful, cool nights. And that's what gives us entree into great red wines as well. So unlike in Napa Valley, where it's 90,000 degrees 8 months out of the year, it's not like that up here. So you can have those gorgeous hot summer days where you're all about the rosés and the whites and all that vibrancy. But come the evening, I mean, like late around 11 p.m., midnight, it's time to get the beach fires going and bring out the beautiful reds to have beachside with s'mores or with a really great steak. It's something a little different. And so Cole has picked this beauty. And why don't you tell us about it?
All right. I would be happy to. This is our Graciano. In Spain, they pronounce it Graciano.
Graciano.
It's indigenous to the Rioja region. So when you're thinking about Rioja, it's up in the kind of the right south of Basque country. If you take San Sebastian and Bilbao up in northern Spain and drew a line down, you get to Rioja, which is very famous mostly for red wines. And I worked for a family in Rioja for a number of years, the Bodegas Ontañón in Rioja, Baja. And they loved the grape Graciano. It's a grape that's rarely seen on its own. It's normally blended with Tempranillo to give it a little structure. And so this is this was actually the first planting in Washington State. The winemaker behind this is an aerospace engineer who's originally from Spain. His name is Javier Alfonso. He designed rocket engines for a while, and now he makes really, really cool red
That's
wine.
Incredible.
Yeah, old friend. So
I dig it. And he's also the mastermind behind my favorite Albarino. So it's true.
We got to get a little tasting appointment. Get you and Jonathan out there with
would love it. That'd be so much fun. This is beautiful. I just had my first sip, and I think my eyes were just like, wow, like what is this? This is beautiful. And you're just talking about, working for the family in Rioja. So why do you need a Spanish teacher? I'm wondering.
Because I'm lazier than you understand. My Spanish
There's no way.
my Spanish needs to improve, especially if I'm conducting business in a Spanish-speaking country. I do much better with Mexican Spanish than I do Spain Spanish.
The
So
Castilian.
continental Spanish, yeah, exactly. So it becomes one of those things where, I mean,
a little more formal.
fun of. I need to be able to be a little quicker on my toes when it comes to the slang. But no, this is cool. This is one of our only wines from 2017 that we still have left. This is
stunning. Well, maybe because people aren't buying it because they're buying up all the white wine. Maybe you should do start in like packages. Like you can only get the Albarino if you buy 3 of these.
Yeah.
The other thing too about this wine that I love about it is it's so approachable now. It probably needed this time to become approachable. And we ordered a bottle of Pinot today when we were at Bricks in Yountville. And the fact is, I asked for one that was like a 2015 because I wanted something that was going to drink now. I didn't want it to overpower our lunch. I wanted it to complement our lunch. Sometimes you need that in this. Right. And I think that this is really comparable for everyone out there to Grenache in the fact that it has body, but it's also round in the mouth. It's got good acidity. And Graziano is a very great grape. I mean, I love Garnacha too, and that's a little bit different. And they're very similar in your pronunciation, but you're talking a little bit further east. Actually, is where Graziano or Garnacha is really based. And so I think this is one of those like signatures from Rioja that's so interesting. And Rioja was the first ever DO, which is the designated the designated appellation of Spain. I did a big thing yesterday with Somm Journal, and we talked about all of Spain and how things changed. And it was a great presentation, and I just love being a part of it and giving everyone my opinions on everything. Let me
tell you about this one.
There's people all over the nation watching this, but the fact is that Spain is underrated.
I agree.
They're so interesting, but when we think about food, we think about tapas. We think about the Spain and tapas. So we go through we think about America, maybe 1, 2 courses, maybe 3. Oh gosh, you're crazy. There, it's like 6, 7 courses.
Little bites.
And this is one that could complement such a number of them. And that's kind of where I'm thinking about this. You could give me some polenta, and you can give me some really nice with some nice kind of pork on top of that that's like really seared, and it's just wonderful. And you could also give me like a pomegranate salad, and I'm kind of okay with that too. It's got some really kind of salty cheese in it. And then you can also give me a beef brisket, and I'm also cool with that. So, how many things did I just go into?
And Chris, have you had dinner yet?
Yeah, I know. I like making people hungry, by the way, especially when I've got great wines in my hands. But I think that this is a great example of it. But it has texture, I mean, that's really what it's about. It's about a lot of mouthfeel and texture. It'll remind a lot of people also of Italian wines that they like kind of come across.
Absolutely, yeah.
Sangiovese, which everyone, Tuscany is all about, Sangiovese. Well, hey, here's something else, that's very interesting. We don't have much in the United States, but man, I wish that more wines tasted like this. This is
fun. This is really, really fun. I like it. I had my first sip, except my eyes exploded. There was that initial kind of like Jolly Rancher pucker, right? It just kind of hits you. And then I had to keep sampling. I'm like, no, because there's like that green bell pepper, but it's not quite that. It's candied bell pepper. Yeah. It's what you're getting in this. And it's so cool.
Stuff. Yeah.
Interesting. Candy. I don't think I've ever heard that term.
I never have I, but it's in this glass.
I'm digging it. I'm digging
something inside of our head.
I want that quote. Come on, give me the quote of the night number 2.
Candy.
Quote of the night.
I never thought about it before, but it is here because it's got that sweet. It's so blended. I've had other wines where it's like decidedly it's like that green bell pepper. It's so it's crunchy.
I mean, yeah,
this is so cool.
Yeah, crunchy. I mean, like exactly. I mean, I think it's got it. The last one I really got like a little bit of white pepper, it was kind of coming out. This has got this kind of like little allspice, but it's so subtle. It's super duper subtle. There's not like a big wood integration here. It's more about the fruit. And that's what makes it so presentable with so many different types of food.
Yeah, you can definitely, this is, great barbecue wine. I mean, there's so many things when, you're going to have a ball with this wine. It's so versatile. And, you can get into, the cabs and all these things, and they just get pigeonholed. I mean, it's unfortunate. Cabernets are great, but they kind of have a place. And this is a great alternative. I am such a Pinot girl, but I'm always looking for something a little bit different, every once in a while. And I have to say, I'm just, as much as I do like a really killer cab, they're just not my go-to wine. It's just not. And this is fun. I like this. And just knowing, like, I think about like, what can I cook? What can I make with this? And I'm already thinking like, well, this is great with barbecue. I can already sense it. Just that a fresh, like I make a blueberry barbecue sauce that everybody goes gaga over. And this would be so perfect with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
100%. I think right there, it's the versatility again, kind of in the middle for the Pinot drinker, for the cab drinker. It's fresh enough. The acidity is lively enough, but there's also some structure. You talk about food, just a little bit of lamb or anything on the grill. Just do all kinds of things with it. And it's honestly, it's one of those things that when people try a wine that you have to kind of taste or pour for somebody, because people don't, a bottle of $34 wine that they've never heard the grape, 99.9% of people, including those who are from Spain, have never heard of the grape Graciano. And so it's one of those varietals that with a little bit of love poured into the glass, it's really a cool discovery.
Absolutely. Last night I made these lamb chops that I did in a citrus jalapeno mint marinade. We were supposed to have them the day before, so they got a full 36-hour marinade going on. And this would be outstanding with it. Absolutely outstanding. And for the record, garlicky, minty, jalapeno, citrus marinade on lamb. Amazing. Do it. I highly recommend it.
Bring it on.
Bring it on. When you guys come up here, you're in charge. That's your dish there. Garlicky, perfect.
I was looking in the refrigerator. I got like half a jalapeno and a whole bunch of mint out of the garden. And I think I even threw chives in there because the chives were going crazy. So I just chopped those down and threw it all in the blender and said, all right, marinade, do your thing.
Nice. And
it was so refreshing. So if you're looking for something a little different on your lamb, bring out the mint and the jalapeno and a lot of garlic and whatever else is green, just throw it in there. It was good. It was really good.
Buy it, get it where you can, because green garlic is awesome.
It is so good.
It actually reminds me a lot of Rioja too. One time when I was in Rioja was an amazing experience because there was a vineyard that had green garlic growing right in the middle of the rows, and I was like, oh, wow, what is that? And I pulled one out. It was green garlic. Oh my God, this is so awesome. That night we had goat, of course, because goat is the thing of the region. I'd never really had goat. I had an amazing experience with goat because of these herbs and these kinds of things that you find. That's why today, when there was green garlic soup, I'm like, oh, sign me up. I'm so there.
So fun. Oh, I would definitely like to try that. I didn't realize how fast this hour went, and we are not done talking. Cole, you have got an amazing project that you just launched today. So tell us what's going on in Orcas Island and the best new place to drink, hopefully in 2022.
Oh man, can I get Shay for this too? We got to do
yes,
this.
Bring him in.
My business partner, my best buddy, Shay and I are doing this together actually. So this is
everybody.
Shay. And
hi, Shay.
He has to get it. We've been working all day in here like the war room, right? So it's kind of one of those things where so this is Shay, and we grew up together here on the island. Do you guys get a chance to watch the little video with the Kickstarter?
I did not. I wanted to, but I knew what I was looking for.
You guys are going to lose it. But so Shay and I grew up here, and we're doing this together.
Yeah.
So tell us what it is, Shay.
Our families met way back in the early 80s, and way out on the east side of the island. We both grew up really rural farms and no running water, things like that. And we've been friends since probably I don't know, or at least 5 years old. And throughout high school, we graduated together, and we both went our separate ways. Although we've kept in touch and met over these last 20 years, we both moved back to the island. And there's something about the San Juans and the island, as whoever has visited here might know, that brings you back, makes a connection in the world like no other. And with all our experiences over these last 20 years, we decided, you know what, let's do something together. Let's put something together. And that's what we're doing. We're putting together Roots, Orcas Island.
Yeah. So it's going to be cool.
And Roots is going to be a what?
Roots is a wine bar and cafe. So we're going to be open kind of the whole European style. I mean, you guys know this, the European model where we're open up early in the morning for espresso and toasts, and then continue on into like lunches, bowls, and paninis, light lunches, all the way through like happy hour, and then have like a really great charcuterie and cheese program.
Oh, sounds so awesome. That is fantastic. And not to rain on
74-esque.
And so tell us how this project's going. How are you launching this? What can people do to help?
Well, we actually met with the editor of the Seattle Met magazine, and they're going to feature us in their summer edition, which is really cool. So we're going to have that right kind of in the middle. But we started a Kickstarter program or launch or Kickstarter campaign, and we put it out last night, and it's just started. So rootsorcasisland.com. You can go there. Yeah, click on the Kickstarter and come on this journey with us. We are really excited to offer it to. We want people to not just enjoy what we're going to offer on the island or in the space, but to enjoy the island. The island is what has made me and Cole who we are, and it's a really amazing story. And really, that's the culmination of that story is going to be in this place. So we really, really hope anybody who's listening, watching, rootsorcasisland.com, you can get the information from there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's right in the bottom of our screen right now. So check it out. This is your opportunity to be a part of something very organic, very community driven. So help these guys out. I know that in just a few hours, they're already to half of their goal. But this is such a great project, such a great mission. And I know it's going to be the place to hang out on Orcas Island. Absolutely. So I'm excited to see where this goes, and cheers to you guys. And it's such a great idea. I am just stoked. And Chris, thank you so much for being here. This has been a great season. We're going to take a little mid almost pre-summer break, but we're going to come up with a great series of events online. Cheers.
Striking resemblance.
There it is. It was there. CellarPass TV will be back probably later this summer, and definitely for a full fall and holiday season. Great episodes coming up. We're trying to mix things up. So if you have ideas and thoughts, viewers, about what you'd like to do online with us, let us know. We're always open to great ideas. These wines are amazing, and you can get them by going to the DoeBayWineCompany.com. And of course, that's where you're going to get these wines. Or if you're going to Orcas Island, go to the Doe Bay Wine Company in person and stock up, because these are amazing. And then you get to meet Cole and Shay and all of these really cool people that you had no idea existed, but they're there, and you want to get to know these people.
Come visit.
Come visit. So point your compass north and or west, hopefully, and get on up there. It is so awesome, guys. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Cheers to your new endeavor, and we hope to see you all very soon.
Hey, cheers. Really appreciate everything, guys. We had a wonderful year. Forward to doing it again next year. We do it live at Roots.
We will be doing it live at Roots. Absolutely. So to our viewers, have a great night. Lovely seeing you all. Linda, you're amazing from Georgia. Love seeing you online every night. Have a great summer, and check out CellarPass.com for all of your wine tasting adventures, upcoming events, and of course, the next season of CellarPass TV. So cheers to all of you. And to my crew here, stay online. We'll have the post-show wrap-up.